Should I text her? Okay.
No, it's preparing to go live. Finally went in. Meeting is streaming now live on YouTube. And welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Hairwire, the place where you get hair smart. I'm your host, Sergio Cardona, alongside with Bisan Dipsy. Hope you guys are doing okay. Hope you guys are doing well. And this week we have an amazing show. But first, we want to send our love to Carrie Jarrett. She's not here with us today. Unfortunately, she's feeling bad at home. So, Carrie, hope you're feeling good. Well, soon.
If you guys can see us, let us
We need you
know.
back.
I am on YouTube and I don't see us.
Not yet. All right. I have here's the notification on. Yeah, it says that we're live. Let's see.
Okay. Technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Oh, we're live. Yay.
Yeah. I know
We're
we're live.
Cool.
Something's happening here. All right. Yeah. We're here. So, sorry about the technological disasters in this morning. Again, without Carrie, I'm not good with technologies. We need you, Carrie. We need you. Hey, but get well soon. Get well soon, honey. And hopefully we'll have her next week. So praying for that. Today we're going to be talking about triggers. What triggers our hair loss? What are the triggers and how we are able to identify those triggers? Now, this is a question that has been bothering a lot of people because if you're experiencing hair loss right now, you're asking yourself, well, what happened? What causes this hair loss? What's happening? And you start to make relationships of things that, happened to you recently. Is it something that I ate? Is this a medication? Is it an illness? Is it stress? Is it, I don't know, hormonal imbalances? Is it my diet? I don't know what it is. And I need to figure it out quickly because I'm losing hair like crazy. I'm shedding like there's no tomorrow. And unfortunately, I'm starting to see my scalp. What's happening here? Bisan, have you seen people coming to you like that recently?
Yes, and people, I get it. It is very emotional to lose your hair.
Yes.
It is the crown of your head, and this is how you show up to other people. And in your life, it is devastating and emotionally hard on us. And that's why I love the community that they keep asking questions to know their triggers. And they already know, a lot of people already know that hair loss has to do with a trigger somehow. It's not
Yes.
only genetic, it can be genetic, but also there is a trigger, and the trigger is very important because in any hair loss treatment plan, if you do not deal with the trigger or triggers, sometimes the hair loss, the hair growth process will not be as successful because you can stimulate the hair growth from outside as much as you can. If you don't stop the trigger that is the root cause of why it happened in the first place, you're not going to go anywhere. And I was trying to say that trichologists, we are detectives. We go with a functional timeline in your lifespan. We go all the way to the time you were born. If it was a natural birth or it was a C-section, because your microbiome will be dependent on that moment, actually, even if it breastfed versus not formula fed. And then we go through all your life events, because every single big event that may shake you from inside with it could be like traumatizing event, could be loss of somebody, could be moving from one place to another, could be any emotional thing that you went through. It has to be noted, and also how many kids you have, because postpartum hair loss is a big issue for women. We can, in the functional medicine timeline, we also see events when you move to a new home. I saw that a lot lately when you move to a new home. And especially if then that new home has mold, has toxicity, and you are not aware of that. Unfortunately, the environmental people, they want to sell the house. They don't care to inspect to
Yep.
the health problems, right? If you may say, they don't dig deep down because it's not the best interest for anybody to sell that house. Um, I saw this a lot lately, and also even though Sergio with new homes, when you
Mm.
purchase even a new house, all the chemicals that have been used to build that house has been fresh inside that house. You move in with all your happiness in it, and 6 months later, you're sick
Wow.
because the paint they're using, the chemicals they're using, the carpets, they off-gas some stuff. And it is noted to say that we deal with toxins all day long. We cannot escape that. This is the reality of it. But if we keep our self resilient, we can overcome these issues. The thing that when hair loss happens is when your body cannot take it anymore. It has been the burden, the toxic burden has been to the roof, and your body cannot deal with it. What happens is you lose your hair. So finding the trigger is very, very important in any successful treatment plan. You do have to go back, identify a trigger or two or maybe three, and then you can create a treatment plan that will help the patient regrow the hair.
Now you mentioned something very interesting, and that is multiple triggers. Because usually, for people who maybe understands or have a better understanding on triggers, they believe it's just one single factor. And sometimes you have to look at it at multiple factors that collide at the same time, or at least in the same period. Because it's not that, everything happened in one single day, but in the same period of time, a couple things happen. For instance, I got sick, then stress, and then I don't know, the medication that kicked in.
Mm.
My gut had been disrupted because of the medication. So you see there's a couple of factors going in. I got fever, you know and all of those things in combination can trigger your hair loss. So it's not just a single factor thing. Usually more common than none, you see multiple factors kicking in. So that is why it is so complicated sometimes to properly identify our triggers, because you're not just dealing with one single item. You're dealing with multiple factors at the same time, or at least in the same period of time. And it becomes like a multiplier factor. You have the stress, and then you got sick, and then your nervous system starts kicking in, and you're not sleeping well, and your hormones starts to shoot up to the sky, and your eating habits are becoming entangled in the process, and all of those things in that same period of time are kicking in, and they are causing your follicles to start on the resting phase. They move from the anagen phase into the catagen phase. Then once it starts the catagen phase, directly goes to telogen when the hair sheds out of the follicle. So you have to remember, whenever something is able to disrupt the anagen phase of the follicle, it will continue that process into catagen and straight into telogen. That process will not stop. The only way that you're able to preserve your hair is by increasing and continue the anagen phase. If that anagen phase gets disrupted, believe me, that piece of hair in that particular follicle will shed out. That's not stopping. So we need to preserve, and we need to keep our follicles into anagen so that they may keep growing. Now, is it normal for follicles to go into catagen, Bisan?
Yes, when the body is overwhelmed, actually, when the body is the when we are overwhelmed with these toxins, when we don't start on a good basis, when we are already not eating well, when we're already drinking unfiltered water, when we already don't sleep properly, and then a certain event happen, your body is just gonna tell you, "I'm done. I can't take it anymore." It go to a survival mode, and when it goes to a survivor mode, your body will care about the vital organs in you, like the liver, the lungs, the heart. It does not care about the hair at all because it's not time now to feed the hair, right? Because they are non-essential tissues anyway. So they go into this catagen phase to just rest and let the body deal with the overwhelming event or events that's happening, especially if there was no good base. When we have a good base, like a good diet, we don't have any nutrient deficiencies, we are on top of our hormones, we sleep well, and we are on top of our emotions. Actually, that is the biggest issue that we are seeing right now in a lot of clients, because thanks to the internet, a lot of clients are on top of their health right now. They know how to eat well, they know how to supplement with good stuff. But what about the emotional thing? The emotional overload that we go through in our day-to-day lives, especially with this young generation, when they compare themselves with all these models on Instagram, and and they have all this luscious hair, like so
Yep.
in a way, it will add stress. And actually we don't know it. We adults, we are not aware that our subconscious, when we are looking at things and comparing ourselves to others, or we are not satisfied with our emotional state, or we feel lonely, or whatever the case is, it's subconscious, Sergio. It's subconscious. And one day you will go to bed and you can't sleep. And you wonder, I ate my kale today. I took my vitamin C today. I took my omega-3 today. Why can't I sleep?
Yeah.
Well, don't eat kale, because kale is full of oxalate and it will kick your histamine. But I'm just joking anyway, because a lot of people think if they eat kale, it's going to be very, very healthy. It's not. Don't eat kale. So in a way, when your subconscious starts kicking in at night, right? This is when your brain is filing the event of your day. So when you don't sleep, or you wake up in the middle of the night, you're heavy, you feel heavy. Why is that? Because you subconsciously have an emotional trauma and you even don't know it. And believe it or not, that can make you lose your hair. And that is actually worse, because sometimes we cannot identify this trigger in particular.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. And also, it can be a vicious cycle where people lose their hair, let's say, because of toxicity. And they go into this emotional trauma about losing their hair. And all what's happening, we are dealing with the toxicity, which is great. We need to, but that's only 50% of your treatment plan. The other 50% is dealing with the actual trauma that happened to the person. Why me? Why this is happening to me? And that is a more emotional, spiritual level that we need to address. And yes, as a trichologist, we need to address that too. We are not psychologists, we are not. But when it comes to your hair, it's all of the above. And you connect with your client on a human level.
Yes.
Then your treatment plan will work.
I wanted to add, because you mentioned, the idea of trauma. Usually when we think about trauma, we think about more of maybe an accident, maybe a PTSD event. Maybe I got mugged on the street. Maybe I saw something very horrific. And it is quite easy to track, because those are, traumatizing events. But sometimes we forget, that there's trauma that we have been carrying around and things that may traumatize us in a way that maybe we do not understand. Because here's the thing, you might get used to, if you live in a bad neighborhood, you may get used to seeing bad things, but unconsciously, yes, those are traumas that you're experiencing. No matter how much you think you have been around it, you still don't get used to it. And this happens a lot, particularly to professionals who work on stress situations, particularly if you are working in a hospital.
True.
You don't think about this, but if you work in a hospital, the environment is crazy. And just because it is work and you get to do it every day, it doesn't mean that you get desensitized. So it actually means that you get used to it, but still, those events stressful events, life death events can trigger you in some way in your subconscious that definitely can kick in at some period of time and possibly kick in your hair shedding event. Now, we talk about trauma. We talk about stress, stressful events, stressful relationships. Now, let's deal a little bit onto relationships because um, we're married. Biz is married. I'm married. Carrie's married, and we know we know the deal
We know the
in
deal.
a married environment in marriage.
We know the deal.
We know the deal in marriage. So, but the thing is, even relationships, even we have healthy relationships, there will be times, well, we disagree. And those disagreements can sometimes be a burden into our system. And if we're not dealing with those situations properly, for instance, I'm a pastor and I deal with a lot of marriages. And unfortunately, people have the tendency to not be good at setting boundaries.
Mm.
And when you on your relationship don't put boundaries, unfortunately, things will happen is that people overstep. And when people overstep, you get frustrated, you get anxious, and you get mad at yourself because you let someone step over your boundaries and you did nothing about it. At the same time, the person who stepped over keep doing it again and again and again and again. And in marriage, it's very important to set boundaries, guys. And
I have something to
in
say
any
about that.
relationship, please do.
There is somebody one time told me that in marriage we are not two people. It's not 1 + 1 = 2. It's actually 1 + 1 = 3. It is you, your wife separately, you as Sergio, your wife as Karen, and you together as a couple. There are
Yes.
3 people involved in the relationship. So you need to attend to yourself, Karen needs to attend to herself, and you together need to attend to your relationship.
Which is, it can be quite a challenge for many people, because we humans, we're not easy.
And
I'm not talking about,
too.
yeah, we can be very difficult, each and every one of us.
Of
But
course.
the thing is, we need to make sure that if we are, having healthy relationships, that if we are putting the right boundaries, if we are talking through, we're not letting things to accumulate, because that's the problem with the relationships. Sometimes people, they say, well, I'm not gonna fight over this, so I just keep it to myself. But every time you keep it to yourself, it's just an accumulation of what happened the prior time. So in relationships, guys, you need to talk things over. And the same thing goes with your kids. The same thing goes with your parents. In any relationship, you need to talk things over. And hey, this bothered me. Don't do this again. I didn't like the way the way you managed this. And you talk things over, and you go to understandings as humans, because the moment you stop doing that, it becomes stressful, and all those things starts clogging in our minds, and as our nervous systems go to a higher threshold, it's going to break through at some point, and that a breakthrough on your threshold is going to drive different health conditions, including hair loss. So be mindful of your relationships. Now, what else can we talk about that is stressful in our lives? Well, we talk about our traumas. We talk about relationships, but we also need to talk about money. Money
Oh
can also,
yeah.
nowadays with inflation and things going crazy, we want to be able to manage our money wisely. Otherwise, it's gonna go crazy. So there, I'm talking about different subjects here, guys, but the main focus is that you need to understand that there are many complicated things in our lives that can trigger. And you may say, well, Sergio, okay, I'm having money issues right now and I'm losing my hair. What can I do? You know, if my main trigger is money, it's not like I'm gonna be able to stop my hair loss because money issues are happening. But you can work on how you decide to manage those situations, how it affects you, because you may not be able to change the situation right away, but there's things that you can do on how you decide to manage it on the inside. And that's key. That's different. Uh, Please, Biz, you're nodding.
No, it's
Please.
100%. I didn't even think about it. It's actually brilliant you brought this up. I didn't even think about it. Yes. In our economy now and in the inflation, I am sure it's going to be a big problem for a lot of us, many of us, especially with kids and what kind of future that our kids going to have. Especially if you are into conspiracy theory, that's that's a different level of stress in a
Oh
way.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, if you
I
go
mean,
to Twitter
we,
or X, now it's called X, then you think that tomorrow we're gonna die tomorrow. So
I mean, I just mentioned money, but let's say politics right now. A lot of people are worried about what's going to happen in the next elections. So there's a couple of things, that can be very stressful to a lot of people right now. But think about this. Think about all the things that are around you that could possibly bother you in somehow. Put them on a list. I remember we were in a conference back in November. Remember this? And we were talking with our friend Amarante.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Joanna.
Joanna, Joanna, and Joanna Amarante. She's an awesome trichologist, and one of the
Mm,
things that she did is she came up with this timeline, and I love this. I love this because you have to think about, okay, when did I started losing my hair?
mhm,
And you put it put a date to that moment. Well, I started noticing it happened like 2 years ago. So you trace it 2 years ago. All right. So before that hair loss event happened, what happened in my life? And
mm,
I wanted to trace back at least a full year.
mm,
So you go back, okay, this started, let's say, December of 2023, right? So I need to go back to December 2022, right? And start thinking about the things that happen in your life. So I got sick on July. I got COVID in July, let's say. Then I got a car wreck in August. uh, on November, my kids drop out of college. You know, so building that timeline of events. I got sick on this date. I started a new medication.
mm.
There was a change in the dosage of my medication, or I stopped taking a medication. So you think about those events in your life and you put it on a timeline, and you will see that some of those events collide in a period of time where you can kick it back to say uh, 4 months before your hair loss, and boom, you have the triggers.
Mm,
And you realize that some of those triggers might still be present today.
true.
Or even worse, more or new events happen that can continuously maintain your hair shedding events. How about that?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to add to this. These triggers can either accumulate and make a vicious cycle like a snowball and increase the shedding, basically, because it's that small events
Yeah.
that's going to lead eventually to a chronic telogen effluvium. Let's say that. But also there is other type of people who's when you trace the timeline, and they are healthy people, they started with a good base. The trigger can actually be 6 months ago, not even 4 months ago or
Yes.
8 months ago. So don't be stuck on a certain number, because
Exactly.
depending on your resilience,
Yes.
if you have a good immunity system, your body's gonna deal with the trauma slowly. Your body's not gonna express hair loss until your load is full. And that is the problem with hair loss in a way.
Yeah.
We'd already passed our resilience point, our threshold, if I may say that. But still, some people may have early hair loss stages, even little bit of hair loss. You have to be concerned because you don't want to compromise your resilience way too much. You don't want to push it to the point where you are overloaded, where your burden is overloaded. So whenever you start seeing abnormal hair shedding, what we talked about the hair shedding, what is normal? Normal could be for you could be 30, or for you could be 100. Somewhere between 30 to 100 is normal, depending on how thick your hair, what kind of hair you do have, how
Mm-hmm.
long your hair too, because the longer the hair, the more it looks, but it's not,
True.
it just looks more, but it is just because it's long. So whenever you feel, and I actually do that for myself. I always comb my hair above my sink. It's white, so I can see. And then I will trash them not in the drain because that's going to be a problem. And the point that I notice it when I miss my vitamins for 2 3 weeks, I start seeing little bit more shedding than normal. When I'm
Mm.
getting into my period, I see little bit more shedding than normal. So now I actually visually memorized how much is gonna be okay in my cycle time too, because women's cycle is important. You will shed differently during your cycle too. Also, when I don't eat properly, or when I work too much, I can actually see it. And it amazes me, Sergio. You can see it kind of right away in like
Yes.
3 4 days. I was like, whoa, okay. Oh, I didn't sleep last week properly. I was sick. It's just amazing. It's just your hair is really a blessing from God that will tell you, hey, 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 stop. And you don't need to wait until it's massive hair loss to lose your mind. Start preventative, because we as trichologists, you're gonna make it easy for us to treat you if you came early. We can
True.
we can solve it in an hour. But when you wait that much and you have to go through all a big long timeline, it's going to be more complicated on our side and your side too.
That's the thing, with this compounding effect of
Right.
things, when we let things go, and we don't attack it right away, is gonna make it worse. So think about this, guys. So consider what's your normal shedding number, okay? And be objective, objectively, have an objective opinion about it. Because unfortunately, when we start shedding and we believe we're shedding more than usual, are we really shedding more than usual, or is it that it never crossed my mind before until someone talked to me into believing that I'm shedding more hair than usual? Because that's another thing. you
True.
know I want to make sure that I'm really shedding extra hair,
And
or I
it's
want to
not
make sure that I'm
seasonal.
really losing hair.
Right. And it's not seasonal shedding or period kind of a shedding. Sorry.
Exactly. No, 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 it's good. And the thing is that, once you understand that what's happening is not normal, all right, then we start raising, flags about what's happening, and we start looking for those little details. Now, we have people who, like you mentioned in the beginning, Biz, people buy a new house, or they move into a new place, whether it's a new construction or an old place, and maybe there are chemicals in that place, in which you're not accustomed to, or your body may react to. And those things can kick in and tell you an fluid event. For instance, um, you move to a new place and the water is different, and you start drinking the water from a new place, and that might kick in a new event. So usually we don't think about small little details like that, and those again can have a compounding effect on your hair loss, which is why you need to do a log. Now, Biz, you talk about this food log and events log. Can you please explain to our people how this works?
Yeah. So because in our busy lives, like we're just sometimes go into autopilot and then things happen and we don't know how to track it back. So
Hmm.
I would say I will give all my clients a food journal. Let's start with a simple thing. We don't need to go and pay so much money for different kind of tests. We don't need to do that in the beginning. Tests are great when we don't find a solution and we need a biological test to help us find the problem. But
Hmm.
with a simple food journal, I actually posted one on our Facebook, I guess. Um, this food journal tracks what did you eat, what is your emotional state at that day, and what kind of movements that you had. It's basically your lifestyle factors. What are the lifestyle factors that are essential for any healthy body to function properly? Is what do you eat, how much you drink, and the purity of the water you drink, movement, sleep, and your emotional state, right? All these lifestyle factors, you need to do it daily for you to function properly in a way. That's the base minimum in a way, or that's your base. So let us say we ate broccoli today, and I will say I ate broccoli, I felt gassy. Yeah, tomorrow there's mood swings tomorrow. The day after, I felt like I have brain fog. So when you see it in front of your eyes, when you put foods, emotions, um, stress level, sleep, you can actually see a trend in front of you. You can see your pattern. Whenever I eat broccoli, whatever it is, broccoli is one of the healthiest food on earth, right? It has anti-cancer properties and all the good stuff. But if
Hmm.
you have inflamed microbiome, this broccoli can actually make you feel so sick.
Yep.
So we don't, maybe this is broccoli for me, maybe strawberries for you. Who knows? Depending on how your body is reacting, the biochemistry of your body, where you came from, what did you eat at your childhood, and what your state of your body right now. So let's go back to the food journal. Let us say on Monday I ate my side dish broccoli. In the evening I noted that it's bloating. Next day I have mood swings. On Wednesday, I have brain fog. On Thursday, I stopped sleeping properly. On Friday, I have low energy and I feel lethargic. See where I'm going?
Yep.
If you see it in front of your eyes, like how this happened, go back, trace it back. It could be your broccoli. And so on. I'm just simplifying. It's not as simple as I'm saying it, but I'm trying to simplify it. But if you make a habit of journaling your food, journaling your thoughts, journaling, I know it seems weird, but at this
Life
age
events,
of
things that happens, on daily
exactly,
basis. Yes.
at this age, we are bombarded with so much stress. We are not in tune with our bodies. There's so much noise around us. We are not grounded. How many times you walked out, Sergio, barefoot on earth? You don't have time to do that. You're in
Yep.
your clinic the whole day under blue light. You're dealing with your clients, your patients. You take their stress. You listen to their stories. Their stress become your stress,
Yep.
right? You try to figure a treatment plan for them. So in a way, it is very important that at least 5 minutes out of your day at night, journal your thoughts, just put them out, let them go out so they don't fester inside your body. And when there is a physical problem happening to your body, you can actually see it in front of your eyes. You can see the trend. You will actually start to learn more about yourself. Because as I told you, we are so busy in autopilot,
Yep.
we forget, we are not in tune with what's happening inside us. Sometimes you feel like your heart is heavy. Why your heart is heavy? Go back and see. It could start with a broccoli, believe it or not.
I
And
like
then,
that. I like that.
and this is how you trace your hair loss.
Yes.
Again, your hair loss is a sign of something wrong going inside you. It could be emotional, spiritual, food, health, what everything. It could be everything and anything. How you're gonna do it, how you're gonna know. So again, to the topic of our discussion today, pinpointing your trigger is 50% of your treatment plan,
I'll
of the
say it
success of
is.
your treatment plan.
I'll say it is. Now, I want to ask you, if I understand, what my trigger is, let's say it was a stressful event, a continuous stressful event, because let's say relationships. How on earth will a shampoo be the solution?
I know. It won't. It won't.
People go crazy banana
What
trying to
shampoos do
buy,
you use?
trying to buy anything that they can get their hands on that might help cure or at least treat that hair shedding. And maybe you buy a shampoo and you start saying, well, it's kind of working. It's kind of working today. A week or two from now, it's going to stop working.
It is not working. It's a placebo effect. It's not working. No shampoo is gonna work, even if it's $1 billion shampoo, it's not gonna work
Exactly.
if the root cause is not there. It's not. And this is why, I'm sorry I cut you off, Sergio, but
No, no,
this
no,
is
please.
this is why, this is how the big manufacturing companies plays on our emotions. When you see on Instagram this lady with a beautiful hair because she used that shampoo. Well, no, it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't
That's
work that
why
way.
we need a
Yeah.
lot of trichologists, a lot of education for people to understand it is not a shampoo. It's not. It
Yes.
is way deeper issue than that.
One of the things that I see, and I talk to my customers, my patients, and a lot of colleagues, a shampoo will only be efficient if we are starting to see, for instance, damages related to toxic sebum on the
Mm.
scalp. So if a stressful event is triggering a an event where my scalp is producing large amounts of, maybe not large amounts, but sebum that is rich in actic lactic acid and squalene. My Spanish kicks in, sorry. Yeah. So if you have a high concentration sebum on those elements, which are corrosive, it can have an effect on your telogen effluvium. Thus, a shampoo that helps cleanse away those toxic sebum from your scalp may improve what's happening on that particular moment, but it is not a cure because your body will continue to produce that toxic sebum because of your stress. So unless you're working with that stress and managing your shampoo at the same time, you're not going to be able to get rid of your hair shedding because you have to realize that, all right, there's external symptoms on my scalp, but those symptoms are the reflection of an internal situation. And if I'm not addressing both at the same time, I'm losing my hair. I'm losing my hair. So yes, in those particular scenarios, yes, a shampoo, not any particular shampoo, but the one that is actually needed for that particular moment, might be helpful. But again, we have to realize that it is a combination of factors that as professionals we get to see and we get to measure and we get to properly treat. But for common people who do not understand these dynamics, you need to focus on, again, that life journal. That life journal is important because it's going to drive you to understand the things that are happening around you that could have an effect on your hair. And when you come to your professional healthcare provider and you come to your trichologist, when you go to your hair loss expert, with this information, my God, is going to be wonders for you because it's going to help us pinpoint the exact cause, time frame is going to be easier for us to understand what's causing your hair loss. And of course, you get your hair back sooner. But again, you need to trace down, and you need to investigate, and you need to remember the things that had happened before you started shedding your hair. That way, you are able to at least get a better sense of what's happened, or what caused it, what drove that hair shedding onto you. So please, guys, if you take away anything from today, is this life journal. You need to start working with that, because it's going to help you build a better case. It's going to help you build with the right information, so that when you come to a professional, you will know what to do. You will know what to say. You will know to pinpoint in a better time frame the things, the events that may have conducted to your hair loss. For instance, it's very easy to, let's say, a postpartum event is quite easy. I mean, you just gave birth. Naturally, you might start feeling, the hair shedding events, that tell you effluvium postpartum that may come around. It doesn't have to, but it is a strong possibility.
Right.
So that one is kind of easy. But how about the things that happen, that are not as easy to identify? Then doing this journal, doing this live journal can actually be tremendous help. So let's wrap this thing for today, wrap things up for today. Again, we want to thank you, Biz. Anything you want to add before we go, please?
I wanna say that life is not easy, and we should just stick together and build our community and help each other, because life as is hard. So let's not be hard on ourselves, and let's just pray all together to lift each other up. And I'm saying that because today is Eid. So today the Muslim community are celebrating Eid al-Fitr, which is the first day breaking fast after 30 days of fasting in Ramadan.
Nice. Hey, it's all about love, guys. It's all about love, community, and keep it together. Keep it together. Love it. Thank you, Biz. Guys, hope to see you next week. God bless you all. See you then. Bye-bye.